Hi, welcome to the Get Strong and Healthy podcast. My name is Anna Clow, and thank you for being here. Today, we've got a very special guest joining us, Alexa. Alexa is my good friend that I've connected with, what is it, maybe like 8 months ago at this point. And she is the founder of Pure Roots Kitchen, and she is a whole foods based personal chef. So she's all about healthy eating, healthy living, and I'm super excited to just have a fun conversation today. We want to share a little bit about kind of our career stories, but then also just like how we really both aim for personal excellence on a, daily basis. But first I want to share first, Alexa, thank you for coming on the show.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So first, let me share a little bit of how we connected. It's so funny. We were both at a event
Yeah. Market
and yeah, like a little, what do you call it?
holiday like expo.
Expo. Yeah, that's the word. And so we're at an expo and I'm just walking around. It was a little bit dead at this particular expo. And I walk up and I go, oh my gosh, healthy desserts. You're kidding me. This looks so good. And I like bought some desserts from her. And then I was like, can we be best friends? Like, I think I literally said something like that. I was
Yeah.
like, what's your Instagram?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we connected and it's just, we've been hanging out or meeting up or just connected well from that. Yeah. So, Alexa, tell us like kind of how you got into what you do, like what really drives you to, just really be your healthiest self, and then also how you've created a business from that.
Yeah, so I'm really big into healthy eating and I want to help people make it more convenient. So I first started when I was around 7 years old. I had to go gluten free because my mom was having me go on a elimination diet for inflammation and everything like that. So I cut out gluten, dairy, sugars, like everything. And as a 7 year old, I was kind of like, well, what do I have now? Like, I can't have all my favorite foods. So my mom got creative in the kitchen and she just really started creating desserts out of things like coconut sugar instead of regular sugars and like cashews instead of regular dairy. So she made all these desserts for me out of healthier ingredients. And after doing that for so long, I realized that you really don't need all the junk to eat healthy things. Like you could have all your favorite foods and they could be made with healthier ingredients. So that's kind of where the passion started for making healthy foods. And you could have it and it still tastes just as good as the real thing. So around the age of 12, I would say, that's when I really got into being creative myself with it. And I wanted to help other people with gluten free eating because some people think that they can't have the fun foods. So I wanted to just show them that you really still can. So that's when I started getting into the cooking, baking. I was basically my family's personal chef and making their breakfast, lunches, dinners, meal prepping. That became a big thing for me. And that just kind of took off from there. And around 16, that's when I started my little side hustle, making food orders for people, desserts and everything. And as of last year, officially launched Pure Roots Kitchen as a dessert company, and now added on the personal meal prep services where I'm going to people's houses and prepping for them each week. So, yeah, that's kind of how it started. And I really just want to help people choose whole ingredients and find it nourishing and delicious too.
That is so, so cool. I just, the work that you're doing is literally changing people's lives of, making healthy food more convenient. So tell us, like, what areas do you service? I'm sure a lot of people are listening. I'm like, could she come to my house and cook for me? Like, where do you service?
So pretty much anywhere in like Northern Virginia area. Right now, my clients are in Reston, Vienna, Herndon. I have some people in Great Falls, McLean. So pretty much anywhere. Also some in Ashburn too. So yeah, I'm pretty flexible with the area, but I'm just trying to help anyone who reaches out and make it work. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
love it. Cool. So tell me like what I guess, that's obviously how it inspired you from a young age. Like, I know we connected over this how a lot of our peers, they're going to college, they're taking sort of that like traditional route. Like, what gave you that confidence, that conviction, or that knowing that you, can go create your own business, you can go for it, you can try and do this thing that's a little bit, you know, just out of the normal sort of path. What really led to that for you?
Yeah, so when I started getting into it all, I was obviously very different than most kids my age. So I was eating very healthy and bringing gluten-free cupcakes to a party was very different, but I started loving it. So it kind of set me apart a little bit growing up, and I started just liking it that way. I like to be a little different. I like to do my own thing. And it was in middle school when I was just choosing to bake instead of go out with friends or choosing to start up my business. And I always had this like entrepreneurial kind of mindset growing up, always wanted to have a restaurant. Since I was 5, I would write menus for like people to choose off of and everything, like for my future restaurant. So yeah, I was always very business minded. And I could think just becoming passionate about the healthy eating really sparked it even more. And I started wanting to have a restaurant and a food truck and all these things. And my notes in my phone have every kind of business plan that I've ever had. And it's just, I've had so many ideas to really help people and really bring it to life. So that's kind of how it started. And then when I went into high school, I was homeschooled for 2 years. That really made me realize that I could take this time and really put it toward creating that business I wanted. And then going back to school, finishing up high school, I just realized even more how much I don't want to fit into everyone else's lifestyle because they're all going out partying, they're drinking, they're just doing the normal things that society tells us we should be. But really, I wanted to just follow my passion. So that's when I realized I don't really need to take the route everyone else is taking. I could take a different path. I could do things differently. And that's when I just said to myself, I want to just learn. I want to grow my business. And I decided to not go to college senior year of high school. Everyone else was kind of like, what do you mean you're not going to college? Like, that's how you be successful. That's how you know, get a future for yourself. Like, you're going to get a job, like a degree, like, who's going to hire you? So I really just had to think to myself, and that definitely got to me because hearing that from people that don't support you, it's kind of like, well, maybe I should be doing what they're doing. And I just had to realize, well, this is kind of my life, this is my story, like I have to live it how I want. So that's what really brought me to this position. Now I just started getting some jobs in nutrition, jobs in marketing, learning from experience, because I believe that you don't need a degree for everything, and you could learn some of the most important skills just by hands-on experience. So that's what I was doing the last 2 years, and now I'm here with Pure Roots Kitchen. So it's cool to see how it all like came about and everything I've learned along the way.
That's incredible. And that is like true alignment to me. Like, I think it is so rare for someone, especially that young, to have any idea what they want to do with their lives. Like, most people, they're going to school, they have no idea what they want to do. But the fact that you really, knew yourself and know yourself, and now you've created something out of that, I think it's so beautiful. And that's kind of, it's very similar to my story of, I was maybe lucky, or I don't know, just really knew myself well and I knew what I wanted to do. I told a kid at my lunch table when I was in high school, I said, one day I'm going to be a health and fitness coach. And he's like, cool. And then, years later, I saw him at Harris Teeter and he's like, oh my gosh, Anna, you did it. You did what you told me you were going to do. I was like, yes, I did. And so yeah, it's just cool, like, to be someone who like knows what they want, goes after it and gets it. And like, not that, sometimes, yeah, you do find your passion later in life and it's never too late. But it's super cool that you literally from the age of 7 is when it started. I wasn't expecting that. I was like 7, geez. And so how old are you now for everyone listening?
20. I just turned 20.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's something else we connected over is just being in the business space, as being in our early 20s. It's I, I don't know if you've found this, but I've really just as, being in my younger 20s, it's takes a little bit more to really earn people's respect, especially like when I'm coaching, like for example, older women who are like, she has no idea what I've gone through. And like, yeah, maybe I don't of, being exactly where you are and your experiences, but it's something where, through education, through a constant pursuit of excellence within our own selves, but especially within just education, like that can really, that really speaks volumes, I believe. And so that's just something that I've experienced kind of along the, being so young, but also being in business.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So tell me, have you, like, when you were a kid, did you kind of have like, anyone in your life who was very, business minded or, that was taking that entrepreneur route that maybe like inspired you or like showed you that this is possible and that you can do this?
Yeah, I would say when I was around 5 to 7, I kind of had it in me. Like I always wanted to make things and sell it. Like I would make bracelets, I would make all these like duct tape bags and like all these kinds of things. So that's always been like the way I thought, like I want to make something and sell it to someone. But growing up, then my uncle also, he has restaurants, he's in the restaurant industry, and learning from him to see how he's doing it all and all the operations behind it and everything that goes on to really get the restaurant like running, that kind of inspired me to do more and like really have a goal of maybe a health food restaurant in the future too. So yeah, definitely seeing him and also other people like online, just seeing how they live their lives. And that's really inspiring for me. So I always, keep up with that. And I'm always finding people that I'm kind of, they're my mentors in a way. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I ever share with you, I guess, kind of my mentors a little bit really early on?
Yeah, I think you did a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
maybe for our listeners a little bit, I when I was 17, I was a lifeguard. And there was one summer where absolutely no one came to the pool. And so I was just sitting in that little guard room on my phone. And at the time, I had followed probably every single person in the health and fitness industry. Like I was crazy just learning, soaking in from everyone what they're doing, seeing people online and being inspired from them. And so I would sit in this lifeguard room watching stories, scrolling Instagram. I followed like hundreds and hundreds of people, and I would get to the end of all the stories. Like, have you ever completed watching everyone's story? I haven't in many years, but back then I watched every single story. I'd like refresh and like wait for the next ones to come up. It was hilarious. But I was so obsessed with health and fitness and just learning everything that I could. I just knew that like it was my personal passion and was starting to think, "Oh, I could do this. I could, kind of be this." And then in my in my little moments of story scrolling, I came across this one person I followed. It was like the boyfriend of this fitness influencer who was kind of a smaller creator, but I just followed him for whatever reason. He's like, "Hey, I'm hiring a virtual assistant for my health and fitness coaching business." And I replied to it. I was like, "I'd like to apply." And I had a call with him and he like hired me on the spot. And that really was the gateway for me to learn so much about business, about what other coaches are doing. He was a health and fitness coach online, but then started a business coaching offer, like a new business that was coaching coaches on how to grow their businesses. And I was pulled over there to be their VA because I was just so good. And I was loving it because I got to see all of the insides of all the training modules, how to set up a business, how to run a business, how to grow a business, and then also listening into, some like call recordings at times. I would like sit there late at night and just this is what I would be watching till like midnight is like mastermind calls that I had access to. And this is where I learned so much about like how coaches were scaling their businesses, what challenges they were having, how they were overcoming them. And it just gave me a ton of confidence to know like, hey, if they're doing this, I can do this too. And I was seeing all the ways how like I could and want to and would do it better. And so that's what really gave me the confidence to say, all right, I'm going to create this thing from scratch. And so I was working as a VA the summer before college, and I had decided to go to Virginia Tech, and that was a tough decision for me. I think part of my subconscious just knew that it wasn't necessarily my path. And I really racked my brain with, do I want to go? Do I not want to go? And just with that, having a little bit of lack of clarity on that, and then everyone else is like, I'm going here, where are you going?
Yes.
I applied for a bunch of schools and I thought this is what I was going to do. So I ended up going to Virginia Tech for like, I didn't even make it a full semester because I was there and just so like clawing my eyes out sitting in chemistry class where all I wanted to do was learn more about business, about health and fitness, about helping people. Like I had my eyes opened to the world of mentorship, of certifications that I could get that would actually be teaching me how to help people, how to coach people, and not, learning the molecular weight of blah, 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 and,
Yes.
to in 4 years have some letters behind my name that say that I can help people with, with nutrition. It's like I could go get certified in that in a certification that would teach me so much more and be able to, help people from there. And so that's really what I did. And the fact that I had been working for a business coach also gave me that confidence to know, like, all right, I have the tools. Now all I have to do is execute on this. And if you really want something, I truly believe the only way that you can fail is if you quit. No matter how long it takes you, like it has taken me a while to grow my business, not because I didn't have the, strategies or the tactics or whatever. It's actually so closely tied to your own personal excellence and how you operate as a human. Like me improving my own health and, going on my own journey, that was so necessary and is so necessary to be, the person that is able to attract clientele and be able to really, help them from that place of transformation. And so that's just, it's taken time, but it's just been one of the best decisions I ever made was to leave school and to take this like alternate path. And I'm just so grateful for that. And so that's a little bit about my journey at when I was at college too. I was also working with my very first health and fitness coach that I had hired for me personally. Like I'd obviously worked with trainers and done like group training type stuff, as a high school athlete, but I've hired my first coach as like my first nutrition coach, my first like physique focused coach that really helps people transform their bodies. And I was so obsessed with the results. Like if you asked me to do something and it was within my gym time, I'd be like, no. Like I was so dialed in and so focused. And also working this VA job outside of my school hours, like you couldn't have talked to me in college. I was so locked in from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's hilarious, like thinking back to it. But that's really what like set my foundation for me having the confidence to leave school and to also like show, my parents, show like my family that I was serious about this. I'm not just leaving school because, oh, I don't feel like it or, something like that. So, yeah, initially, I'm sure you can probably relate to this. People question you. They're like, what are you doing? This is like your future we're talking about. Because just like you said, the rhetoric is you need college, you go to college, you get your degree so that you can get a good job. And I just knew I didn't want a job necessarily. I wanted to be a, self-employed slash, be a business owner who's able to, scale a company. And so, yeah, getting them on board. My parents are the most supportive people ever. But of course, they want to share their concern for me, which is understandable. And I reassured them, hey, I am so serious about this and I'm, doing this and I think that once they started to really see the results, that's when they're like, "All right, Anna, like this is awesome, keep it up." And they've always been supportive, but I think just the results obviously is what gets people's true buy-in. So that's just a little bit about that. But have you had anyone in your life who's just really kind of questioned your choices with not going to school?
Yeah, a lot of people, my parents were very supportive about it. My family, my immediate family were very supportive, but just some people in school, people like teachers, they would always question it and be like, what do you mean? Like, you're not going to college? So I was in honors classes in the whole class. I was in, I think it was my economics class, and the teacher was like, okay, I know everyone's going to college, just raise your hand. And I was like, not me. But they make you feel like if you're in an honors level class, like that's the way you need to go. Like they assume that that's what you're doing. And it was really hard for me to like be confident in my decision at that point, senior year of high school, because I didn't really know what the future held for me. Like it's hard to tell. Like it's not like you know exactly where you're going. You're choosing the path that's still unclear. I'm still choosing to not go to college, but I don't know what's really next. And if I did go to college, I really don't know what's next either. I just know that I'm going to be in a program for 4 years. So it was still unclear and I just wasn't really confident in it. But what made me a little bit more confident was I got a really great job opportunity come up with my nutritionist that I was working with. So I knew that I had a reason to go move to Virginia from South Carolina and just work towards something. Like I had a place to be. I was going to help clients with her, learn one on one from her with my coworkers. So that's what made me feel a little bit better about it. If I didn't have that job to really get me here, I think it would have been a lot harder. So really just having that reason behind it kind of to push you, I think is really important in like taking a different path, especially when you have all the voices in your head like what are you doing? Like what's next? How are you going to be successful? And the people kind of putting you down for it. But yeah, just having a purpose for it is really just what gets you to go on and not let those things get in the way. So, yeah, that's pretty much how it started. But my parents were always very supportive with it. And they knew that because I was so driven at such a young age, whatever I did, I was going to be working hard at it. Like, I wasn't just going to be taking my time to do whatever I wanted and not work toward my goals. They knew I was serious about it. So they trusted that whatever I put my mind to, I'm going to go for it and just see what happens and learn and just grow.
Yes, yeah, like just with your, your character and who you are and what's important to you. I think that if someone doesn't know what they want to do, or if, a kid is like, yeah, I don't really know. Like sometimes, yeah, pushing them to go to college is what they need to figure that out. But, if you know what you want
Mhm.
and you are up for the challenge of being a business owner, which, oh my goodness, we could probably do a whole nother
Yes.
episode on the challenges of being a business owner. It is not as glamorous as social media makes it look, but it is also really rewarding in other ways. But, I am a huge proponent of having a job or a part-time job as you're building your business because that will first of all help fund your ventures and be able to help you invest into your business, but it's also like you said, gaining skills like that was my number one thing with whatever like gigs I've had in my first few years of business, was really just how can I learn so much like that would really help my business and taking that forward. And so just like you've done different like jobs in marketing and things like that, I've really seek those out as well. And I don't know about you, but there's there's this belief on social media that I always hear of like, if you want to build something great, you got to put your back against the wall. You got to have no other options. You got to be able to, grind and da 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 da. And like I almost like was like, gosh, yeah, I should just, quit my jobs and no other option is just to grow my business. And I personally, I'm not someone who my nervous system can't handle that and does not do well with feeling that sort of pressure of like, all right, let's build this, with the uncertainty and not having that steady income. So I really recommend like having a job just to help you in your early years and then being able to, transition full time whenever you're ready and just have that support like as you're growing.
Yeah. And not only that, but just having that to learn from, like being able to build those skills. I think that's the most important thing, not just working a job to work it, like, but also making sure you're working a job that is helping you grow in all the ways you need to get to that point where you need to be with your business. Because that's what's really going to get your business to like get out there and really just scale it. And so you can run it the best way that you possibly can. So I think that's what really helped me. My job in marketing after my job in nutrition, that taught me so much about running a restaurant, and I was doing operations behind it, the marketing side behind it. So it's really cool to see how everything works and ties together, all the work that goes on into it, and just really how to communicate with people and just really sell like your product and, be interested in it in a way that interests other people too. And so, yeah, that really helped me look at it differently and then help myself with my own business and grow
Yes,
my
yes. And I think that in those situations, like being highly observant is the key. Like I was doing admin work, but I was watching how the sales team operated. I was watching how they went about their marketing campaigns. I was able to see all of that and really just see how operations worked. And that was so valuable for me from literally just doing the admin side of things, which might seem like very, very simple, and it was, but you can take so much from that if you let yourself like be truly observant and just see like whatever you can milk out of your position and really, really learn. And the biggest surprise for me is, when I was doing that gig, when I was seeing the inside of all these businesses, is you realize it's almost it's a lot easier than you might think. It's a lot more straightforward and simple than you might think, but that doesn't mean it's easy. And there's a lot that you need to have in alignment to really be able to grow and scale a business. But at the same time, when you see all the inside of it, when you see how it operates and works, it's not, rocket science per se. But so I would love to shift gears and talk about personal excellence. I feel like this is a big like theme of your branding within your, personal brand within your own company, and it's something that I obviously love as well and really aim for each and every day. And so I'd love to talk more about like discipline and just how you really kind of pursue being that best version of yourself. But first, I'm curious, have you ever had like times where you feel like you've struggled with that, or like times where you feel like you got really fed up or frustrated with yourself and like that's what kind of led you to make a change? Or was it more so like, oh, from, 7 years old, you're dialed in, you're locked in, you're you're good to go. Tell us, have you had any of those kind of
I definitely have those moments where I feel like I'm doing so good and I'm like on my grind and really just pushing every day. And then sometimes you just have to take a step back and you're like, okay, like you get thrown off a little bit because if something doesn't go how you planned, or, you fail at something or you make a mistake, and that kind of gets to me sometimes and a lot of other people. If they make a mistake and they're just like really trying to succeed with their business, that throws them off. So I've had to really just think of it differently, shift my perspective toward making mistakes, failing, because I've learned that failure really just helps you learn and lead to success. And you can't really know what success is until you make all those mistakes and fail. So, really shifting that changed everything for me. And if I was having a bad day or something went wrong, I just thought of it differently. I thought to myself, how can I make this good? How can I change this? So I think that also ties into just how you could become better every day because you're just looking at your life differently. You're not looking at everything like it's out to get you or everything is messing up your plan, because ultimately we have a goal, we have a mission and a purpose, but how we get there always changes. The road to get there, like there's always bumps in the road, there's always like a curveball that could go get thrown at you. But as long as you just stay focused on your mission and your purpose, you will always get there no matter what. You just got to maybe learn some things along the way. You have to take a little detour and just learn something and get stronger, grow. So we don't always expect that we needed to be in that spot to get to our final destination, but it all ends up working out exactly how it's supposed to. So yeah, I think that was just a big thing I had to learn about trying to get better. And it's not always like up from here, like it's not linear. It's going to be like a bumpy road sometimes, but you just got to stay committed to your purpose and the vision that you have for yourself and your future.
Absolutely. I think that building a business is one of the biggest tests of your own mindset, of your emotional capacity, of your nervous system, of your, resilience. And it's really, I think I've heard people say entrepreneurship is the spiritual path because it really forces you to work on yourself, to learn about yourself. And I can't even tell you how many you know, lessons I've learned and I feel like levels that I've been able to unlock of like, okay, I've overcome this fear or I've overcome, these doubts or, I've gone through this hardship and it was really, like you said, it throws you off. It threw me off my game. It makes me, you get all in your head or whatever it may be. And like, learning how to bounce back from those different situations is everything. And or even if I'm just like in a season where I'm really struggling with my own, personal behaviors, my own discipline, like maybe my mindset is off for whatever reason. And then what does that do? That reflects in your business because maybe you're not showing up as well, or maybe you're not showing up as your like glowing, healthy, self that's like the, transformation that you're helping others get. And so it's just really a push to be your best self because like when you're your best self, that's when your business will grow. And the more you grow, the more your business grows, which like can be tough and it's hard and it's not a path that you can just play it safe and stay small and live life on easy mode like but that's not what we want, right? We want the challenge because we want growth, and that is really what, this kind of path has led me down. But so talk to us about like discipline or just sort of your mindset or how you approach like being that best version of yourself. Like, I think a lot of people really struggle to first of all even feel like motivated to change or that maybe they want to change but they're like I don't know how to oh I just lack discipline or oh I just all these different things that come up or oh life gets in the way like what are your thoughts on how do you approach discipline, how do you approach like becoming that best version of yourself and like what advice would you give to others on if they want to like transform themselves?
Yeah, I think a lot of people they want to change, but they just don't know how, and then they fall into their comfort zone all the time. So really just growing as a person, you have to just push yourself out of your comfort zone. You have to do the things that scare you. You've really just got to chase your fears instead of letting your fears chase you. So when I had to shift that perspective, that's when I started doing things that brought me out of my comfort zone, and that's what showed me growth. So yeah, that kind of just shifted everything. And I realized that, you're not always going to you're not going to feel like doing some things all the time. You're not going to want to eat healthy. You're not going to want to work out. You're not going to want to go on a walk or, do all the things that you need to do to help yourself become better. But when you just commit to that, commit to yourself, commit to your future, and do it anyway, even if you don't feel like it, that is what changes everything. Because we can make a plan, we can have a diet, a program that we're following, but if we're not committed to it completely, we're just going to fall short of it. We're just going to, not reach our actual goal. We're going to let ourselves down. So, in order to really achieve the goals that we want in life with ourselves, with business, with our fitness, anything, we have to just commit, be disciplined, and learn that, if you're having a bad day, like you could still do it. You could still get yourself to go and walk and do all the things that help you grow because you're just focusing on the benefit from it for your future. So I always think like that. I always think like, how is this going to improve me? How is this going to work toward who I'm becoming? And really just focus every day on that because it's so easy to let your motivation determine what you do if you don't feel motivated in the morning to do something, but you really just can't let motivation determine your success. You have to really just let your discipline determine it.
Yes, and anyone can change at any age and decide to, make this time you go on this journey, different. I can't even tell you how many people, come to me and maybe they've had the last 10 years, they've been yo-yo dieting. They're getting on the wagon and then they're falling off, or been doing this for 20 years, 30 years of just continuously letting yourself down and you know, you have hope at any point. Let me first say that. But it's also such a dangerous place to be if you keep letting yourself break your own self-trust. If you tell your friend that you're going to do something or you tell a coworker that you're going to have them this document by this time and you just never stick to that, what are they going to think of you? You're going to get fired. Your friends are going to distance themselves from you because you don't follow through with your word. You're so flaky, etc. And so, why are we doing that to ourselves? And so, I always tell my clients, like, I don't care how much we need to scale your plan back, but we need to do the things that we set out to do. Whether it's literally we're starting with an extra 20-minute walk a day, I don't care like how small it is, but we need to do the thing and follow through on your word, follow through on these new standards that you have for yourself. Like, don't try and flip your life 180 unless you want to. Cool. If that works for you, great. A lot of people, they need a bit more of a step-by-step approach. But really, the key is to raise your standards, like incrementally on yourself. Like, who's the person that you want to be? How can you step into that today? And then, as you're raising your standards, shifting your identity is the key to lasting change with that. If you go around always talking about, "Oh my God, I'm someone who's just I'm so snacky and I just really, I have such a sweet tooth," or I always fall off my plan. Like if you're saying things like that, if you're thinking things like that, if that's your belief about yourself, that is only going to continue to perpetuate. Humans are really good at confirmation bias. We like to confirm our stories. Our brain likes to look for signs that everything we think and believe is true. So if you think and believe things like that about yourself, that is what story you're going to continue to perpetuate. And so if you want to change your reality, you need to change your story. So, okay, maybe like for example, I feel like I've done a whole like quantum leap just in the past week with a few things in my life. But like for example, I used to kind of think about walking for an hour as like, oh my gosh, that's a long time. Like I only do like 40 minutes at a time normally. That was like my subconscious rooted belief, but I found this new hour long path that I've been loving, and I've been doing it every single day. And so, now I guess my new subconscious belief that I've been able to shift into is, hey, I'm a person who loves an hour long walk. But if you think to yourself, oh my God, an hour, absolutely not. I could never do that, blah, 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 blah. Like that's your story. Okay. Like, maybe that's where you're at. Fine. But if you want to change that with time, you need to slowly shift your identity and shift what you believe about yourself. So start there. Like I have another example. My client, I just started with her like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she was telling me, "Oh, Anna, you sent me, my additional workouts to do outside of our training session and fill out my tracker." I never do stuff like that. I don't, that's not something I do. I know myself. I'm not going to do it. And I said, "Hold up, hold up, hold up." And really challenged her on that and said, "Okay, what if we did do it? You're serious about, your transformation, right?" She's like, "Yeah." So I said, "Okay, let's do it." It's I think once you do it, you'll show yourself it's not as scary as it seems, or it's not as hard as it seems. So she came to me literally yesterday and said, "I did the workout and I filled in my tracker." And I said, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. Are you proud of yourself?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm so proud of myself." And, she made a comment of, "Yeah, like, who am I?" I said, "You're a changed woman. This is who you are now. You just leveled up." And so, like, when you do have those little moments of leveling up, like, confirm to your brain whatever you need to do, but like, all right, this is the new me. And, like, for example, like, I'll have moments where like over the past year I've shifted my identity a ton within I don't eat like the flexible like macro based approach as I used to. I eat very, very clean and I feel really amazing with that, and that's my new identity. So when I have moments of, I'll eat something that's not quite in alignment with that, instead of going, "Oh, that's just, gosh, that's what I always struggle with. That's who I am. I just always do that, blah blah blah." It's like, no, actually that isn't me anymore. That is out of alignment with who I am and what I do. I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to get back to me. So, I'm not consciously necessarily thinking this, but that's like the subconscious thing that's going on. So, definitely being aware of like what's your identity about yourself, the stories that you're making, and shifting those is what's going to really help you with long-term behavior change.
Yeah. And even if you do fall short of that and go back into your old habits, just really learning how to be resilient and go back to what you know now, like the new you, everything that you have learned and grown into, like that is the most important thing. So you don't fall into your old ways and think that it is defining you. You've redefined yourself in a way.
Yes, absolutely. And I think about this too, like you just need to keep trying. Like I feel like every week with my, like for example, with my meal prep, I used to just not meal prep. I'd be like, oh, I don't feel like it, and what's really changed is, hey, this is what I do, period. And there's weeks where I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to do it, or I don't have the time, or but I make it happen and just really almost like tap into that motivation of like, this is going to change my week. This is going to change my results. This is going to do this for me. And so it's okay to like have to always feel like you're like almost like starting fresh or like motivating yourself. I think some people think, "Oh, it's just going to I just want it to be easy and I just want it to flow and feel, like simple." And like yes, that's a goal, but also like it's okay to kind of tap into needing to like, all right, Anna, like you need to do this and you need to like find this motivation. Like I literally do that on the daily. And it doesn't mean that you're broken or that, you haven't found the sustainable approach yet. Like sometimes excellence doesn't look like, balance or sustainability like a lot of people think. It's like sometimes, you know, finding excellence in something means being a little out of balance, right? I think life is more about harmony versus balance. And sometimes harmony looks like maybe you're more dialed in your health and fitness for these few years that you're transforming yourself. Awesome. That's what's going to set you up for life. So,
Yeah,
yeah, those are my super disorganized rambles, but hopefully someone got something good from that.
just like committing to it, at the end of the day, just commit to your future. And as long as you're doing that, like it doesn't, none of it matters. None of the other things matter. It doesn't matter how much you're, feeling like you don't want to do it, feeling like you're falling short of it. Like just commit to yourself at the
Yeah.
end of the day and like be serious about it.
Yes. And for anyone who, I guess, like is scared of change or fears change or, is hesitant about changing, I like to think to myself, like, what are the different outcomes? If I don't change this thing, if I keep going on this path, if I keep operating this way within my business, where's that leading me? Really, what's my reality going to look like? And if that's reality isn't exactly what I want for myself, I need to shift my day to day and I need to shift how I show up. And when you shift that into the one that's aligned with the reality that you want, that is when you make leaps. And so like get clear on like, okay, what are the different options? What are the different outcomes? If I don't hire this coach, if I say, no, I'm just going to keep trying to go to the gym and just, try to eat healthier like you have been for the past 10 years, where's that going to lead you? Probably a very similar spot to where you are now. What if you had made the choice to invest in yourself or to like truly commit to something, to really make a change, where that's going to lead you and what trajectory you're going to go on? Like that is so insane to me to think about, and I think a lot of people fear the unknown, but it's like the worst case scenario is you stay the same. So sometimes you need to like get really fed up and frustrated with where you're at, even if you feel comfortable. Like I feel very comfortable within how my business operates and how my, I guess my physique is or whatever. But I think about what do I really want in the long term? Is this what I'm going to want 5 years from now? No, I want growth in all the ways. And so I tap into that pain of I don't want to stay the same. I want to get better. And so that's really what drives me to operate as, pursuing excellence every day.
Yeah, I think of the same thing too. And also just like choosing discomfort in change is better than choosing the discomfort in staying the same. So that's how I always think of it. Like if I'm going to stay exactly where I am, that's going to end up being uncomfortable for me either way. So I'm not going to grow, but I'd rather just be uncomfortable and get growth as the benefit from it, as the outcome. So just thinking of it like that too is just changes everything and every decision that you make going forward in your life. You just think of it like that. Like, what is this going to get me? There's risks to everything. Like, if you do something, there's going to be a risk. Same with like the whole college thing and taking your own path. If you go for it, there's going to be a risk for any businesses, anything. But if you also don't, there's also a risk because you're not getting to see your potential. You're not getting to see what's on the other side of that decision if you were to do it. So, yeah, I always think of that too. It's a good way to
Yes. I love that. Yeah, I love that so much. Like life is uncomfortable either way, right? Maybe if you're choosing more of like the comfort now, I always think about how that brings more discomfort down the line. But doing the hard stuff now leads to more comfort in the future. It's about delaying gratification. And like when you lean into doing, you know, everything is comfortable now, long term, what's going to happen? Maybe you're going to get sick. Maybe you're going to, go just have regret about how you handled things in your career or whatever it may be. But we do the hard things now to have that satisfaction and that payoff later and that reward later. So that's really the difference. And a book recommendation for anyone listening, actually two. First off is Dopamine Nation. This is anyone who struggles with like being impulsive or addictive behaviors or anything. It really talks about the pain and pleasure balance in life. And she talks about how they are both unavoidable. So it's like you can either choose pain now for long-term pleasure, or you choose pleasure now for long-term pain. And that really, really stuck with me. So I love that book. And also The Four Agreements. That is another like staple self-help book. It is a very quick read that I highly recommend to anyone who's, serious about improving themselves or their life. A big part of it is like there's four of the agreements. One of the agreements that we kind of talked a lot about today is keeping your word. Keep your word with like I do this with everyone that I'm with is like even my client yesterday. I told her, "Hey, yeah, I'll send you over those options for, she was interested of changing from once a week to twice a week training." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you over those options." And I said, "I'll send you them on Thursday." Because I knew that if I told her I would just send them today, I might be really tired later. It was a long work day, so I didn't want to like make a promise that I couldn't keep. So I really aim to like be clear with what I'm going to do and make sure to always, always, always follow through on it. Keep my word. And if like let's say Thursday comes around, something crazy happens and I can't get that over to her, I would text her and say, "Hey, this happened and this is like the adjustments," because I never want someone to think, no matter how small it is, that I'm out of alignment with my word. And it's something that I aim to do with myself all the time and keep promises to myself. Like if I'm struggling with something, like let's say I set out to do this workout regime that maybe I was overzealous. Okay, cool. I'm going to adjust that to be more in alignment with what feels doable for me right now. But after that, after I know that it's fully aligned with what I can do, I'm going to do it no matter what, period. Even if I have to finish that third workout on a Sunday night at 10 p.m., I've done that, you know, a good handful of times. Like that's just maybe not going to be the best workout ever, but I get it done because to me it's about keeping my word. And another example is if you work out and like let's say I've had clients, or this used to be me many, many years ago. Sometimes you'd like skip a set or two, or you'd skip abs at the end. Like you do those little things, like where you skip a rep. When your trainer's not looking. Like those are ways that you are breaking your word to yourself. You're not being impeccable with your actions. And so I say to myself, like, I don't have to consciously say it anymore, but years ago when I was making this change, I said, no, I'm impeccable to my word. I complete every single set and rep. And I've had workouts where like maybe the machine was taken and I wasn't able to do that exercise. I would literally go home and do it like the next day. Even like, yeah, maybe it's not an optimal set. Maybe I'm not getting very much benefit from that. I could argue that, but I do it because it's about keeping promises to myself. And I think that if you can master that, for everyone, but also most importantly to yourself, that is where you can really reach new heights and be able to, just be that best version of yourself. Don't negotiate. Don't let your brain negotiate things. That is what our brains love to do is negotiate. Oh, I'm so tired today. And oh, I helped my friend move yesterday. So I already got my workout in this week. I'm just going to skip my lift this week. you're letting yourself negotiate. Your brain is always, always, always going to negotiate and try and take the easy path. It's just human nature, but we have to get to a point where we don't let our brains do that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. I love this. We're just on like a rapid fire, like, sharing,
I
sharing.
did a 75 hard last year, and I had to work out outside every day or go on a walk every day. And even if I couldn't get that full amount in, if I just got 5 minutes, I had to do that because that was keeping my word to myself and the goal that I wanted to reach. So I always tell people like it doesn't matter like how long you're working out, how long you're walking, just do it because that like in your brain says like I'm committed to it,
Yes.
or that you just fall short of that. If you say, you know, I'll just do it tomorrow, then that tomorrow becomes another day and then it becomes a week. And then the more and more you just let yourself down and not commit to that promise that you told yourself, it becomes okay in your brain that, okay, I'm going to just forget about this. It's okay. Like I did it yesterday. I don't need to do it tomorrow. And then, you know, just it's a ripple effect. And then you get nowhere with your goals. And then a year comes around and you're like, oh, what happened to that goal that I set for New Year's, you know, my resolutions or whatever, something like that. And you just never were able to reach it because you kept letting yourself down. So if you just stick to the little things every single day, even if it's small, like it makes such a big impact on your life.
Yes, I love that so much. I want to like pivot to tell us like, do you do anything in particular when you're like dreaming up your vision, your plans, who you want to be? Like, is this kind of all something that you're just constantly like tweaking every day and just working on, having your vision in your head? Or do you do any sort of thing like any sort of practice that helps you like get clear on your vision or sort of like, any sort of little activity that kind of helps you with that clarity and that vision?
Yeah, I'm always writing all my ideas down. So any type of idea I have, I just write it and then I'll like make it detailed and my notes are crazy on my phone. But yeah, I just pretty much write it all down and then any like thing that I think I want to do or a new thing that I want to learn, if it's a new skill, I'd be like, okay, how am I going to incorporate this into my lifestyle now? Like my habits, my routine. So then I'll start doing it. And then I find that when I do that, then I'll start to become that person more because I just like kind of put it in my day to day. Like I implement it in my lifestyle now so that I can actually work toward becoming that. So yeah, any ideas that I have or like goals for myself, like personally, I will just say, how do I fit it in every day? How do I do something now to actually lead me there?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of how I set my mind up around it.
Yeah, I can confirm that Alexa has some pretty beefy notes. I love your note system. We were
Yes.
like nerding out together, like how do you organize your content? How do you organize this? How do you do your tasks? And like we were sharing like our different systems.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My notes are just all in there from when I was probably 12. I have food trucks in there, like with the menu on all of them. I have everything, every idea. So, you know, it's just a good way to organize because you have it all in your head and you're like, what do I do with it all? So you just put it all there and you kind of look back and it's a good way to see and like track your growth and just yeah, like see your progress through it all. Like you have
Yeah.
this idea, well, maybe that idea turned into something else. Or if you journal a lot, like you'll be able to look back a year ago and see like what you were thinking then and how you are living your life now. And if those things like kind of led you to where you are. So yeah, it all kind of like works out exactly and it makes it a lot better to just write it all down and kind of see it put there,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. I'm super big on notes as well. And I'm similar to you. I've got like probably five business ideas that are, written in my notes. And but yeah, like a ton of just any content ideas I'm always jotting down or like any tasks that I need to do is like on my daily to-do list that I'm always updating. And that's really my system for my catch-all and how I like operate. But I have one note that I made that I actually check into multiple times a week that I love it. It has helped me upgrade myself in so many ways. And basically what I did was I wrote at the top, the title of it is That Girl. And I really talked about like I created different sections for what I want my life to look like. So I've got health goals, I've got like beauty plan, like what are some different things that I want to do? Like I want to do, keep doing my like laser hair removal and like get into chemical peels and like kind of whatever that vision is for who I want to be and what I want my life to look like. And I also have like for my home, like how do I want to operate my home? How do I want to dress? How do I want to, like, what hobbies do I want to have? How do I want to carry myself? Like, I have even like down to the just how I speak and how I present myself, like crazy little just pointers of like the person that I want to be. And I will literally look at this every single day and say, oh, okay, you know, how can I live that tomorrow? Like I'll go to bed. I swear to you, I was like getting all giddy, like getting excited of, oh, I made progress towards my weight goal. I'm almost there. I actually just hit it. I hit my goal for my fitness goal. And so I wrote done, and
Yeah.
now I'm like resisting the urge to set the next goal, but I definitely have a next goal. But, little things like being impeccable with how I keep my home is a goal for me. And so like that's something I'm always thinking about and just referring to this list has really helped me just check myself and make sure I'm showing up as this person as much as I possibly can. And it's fun to like dream up like who do you want to be? Not just within business, but like within whatever aspect of yourself. And so that's just like a fun thing that like normally try stuff like this or I'll do this journaling technique or I'll do this or that and it's like I'll do it and maybe it doesn't stick or it just doesn't really work. But like when you find like one method that works for you, like I don't know, this I've had this for probably like many months now, if not like a year and I love it and it's worked really well for me. So if you resonate with this, try making a that girl, note and like dream up your dream life.
Yeah, you're basically just creating your future self in that in your notes, and
Yeah.
you're just taking little habits and putting them into your day to day.
Hmm.
So I love that, and also writing that out is a good way to just keep yourself in check. And like once you hit a goal, you could check it off, and then you could know like I did that, and then if I did that now, I could do that in something else. Like I keep doing that. So it kind of gives you confidence that you're actually making progress, because sometimes you might feel like you're not with a lot of this. Like, you're doing it every day with the discipline and you have that mindset, but you could also get down yourself that you're not seeing progress and results. So if you keep track of it that way, you could kind of see like, oh, I really am making progress. I really am like growing, and look where I was. And now, I'm here. So
Yes. Yeah, it's so important to like acknowledge your growth, like realize how far you've come when you're someone who's pursuing, personal excellence or just the best version of yourself. We're so focused on the future, as high achievers. We're like, what's next? All right, we got to hit new goals. We got to be better. We got to, be this, next version of myself. But like also acknowledging, like, wow, me versus 2 years ago, me, crazy difference. And like really kind of celebrating yourself for that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, on that note, you should be so proud of yourself, Alexa. And anyone listening, I hope you got some great value from this podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Pure Roots Kitchen, and my name, Alexa Hira, is where I post a lot of the lifestyle, motivational content just to really get yourself becoming better every day in every aspect of your life. And then purerootskitchen.com is my website, and that has all the information for the meal prep services and the desserts that I do as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope that you and everyone listening has a great rest of their day.
Thank you.
Bye.